Where does everybody go at 3 p.m.? Starbucks. They go to the coffee stand and they're piling, they're getting the caffeine from the coffee, but also everybody's putting sugar in their coffee. So it gives you a short-term benefit. You're getting the energy short-term, but you're not getting real energy. It's sort of borrowed energy.
Nothing like a Big Mac.
Yeah, nothing like if Mom said to me on the way home, I think we're going to stop at McDonald's, you just,
yay! Yeah, it's a treat.
Yeah, so excited, right?
Yeah.
You get that treat and you get that rush, but it's changing the biochemistry of your digestive system. It's changing the microbes that are in your gut, and then now you're developing microbes that like Big Macs and French fries and milkshakes, and then they're going to ask for them. Sugar is really more of a contributor to chronic health problems than salt ever thought about being. Well, here's where you get into the nuance and the challenge of even opening the when you really want to open that door to prevention and you're saying, okay, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to make the change. Where do you even start?
Good evening to everyone, and I am so glad you've come to tune in to Change Your Life podcast. We have another exciting series, and we're going to go episode by episode discussing health and wellness. The Lord clearly told us that we should not only live long, but we should live well. And so I'm really excited about this series, and we've got some really poignant discussions where we're going to be looking at various aspects. Can you please do something for me? Would you like and also comment when something is said that really encourages you or uplifts you? Because I believe it's important to have interaction in what we're doing here. And if you would be so kind, share with someone. I'm going to ask you also to join the channel if you're not subscribed, so you can be a part of what we're doing here and have prompts and indications of what's happening. Our Sunday services are alive and powerful. And again, I want to invite you to our Sunday services at CLCC, 10:30 a.m. every single Sunday. Amen. Today, we're going to be looking at how important health is. And we have a very, very special guest that is joining us today. And she has the experience that we're going to pull from. And we're going to learn. We're learning every day. Knowledge is something we're always discovering. And so Shelley Poovey is with us, and we're so excited to have you in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's exciting to be here.
Thank you so much. And great having you. It really is. And we're excited just to learn. I just wanted to open up by asking you a bit about your background and, how you evolved in this space and how you came to get the experience that you have.
Well, how much time do you have? It's a long journey. Yeah. And I think at the core of it, I was just sharing with one of my clients last week that even when I was in middle school, I had a health class in middle school.
Wow.
And one of my assignments was to research food additives and the health benefits or contraindications of food additives. And I did my paper on MSG.
Wow.
And I thought nothing of it. And my teacher called my mother and said, she really gets it. She understands health. She'd be great in health and wellness. I had no idea until many years later when I got into all of this professionally. My mother said, yeah, your teacher said that years ago. So there's sort of an affinity, I suppose, with an interest with health. And I was a performer. I was just chatting with some of the people here on the crew earlier about how did I end up in New York, because I come from North Carolina.
Wow.
Originally, I moved here 25 years ago to New York City, and as a performer, as a dancer. And obviously, as a performer, you have to think about these things for injury prevention, keeping up your fitness and being able to meet the demands of that lifestyle. And so then probably about 15 years ago, I transitioned out of my dance career and had sort of been weaving in some of the health and wellness. I got into, in New York, just teaching Pilates, different things like that dancers do as part of their self-care and also their professional support. And it just evolved.
Wow.
It just evolved over time.
That's really fantastic. I think that, that space is really critical and important, particularly in today's world, where there is so much health complications and health issues. But one of the things that I believe is important, and I know you do as well, is that prevention is always better than cure. What does that statement mean to you in the space you're in and with the experience you have?
Yes. So at this point, I've been doing health and wellness coaching in different ways for a while, and I work with people. As a coach, you're that intermediary between sort of the medical world and the practical day-to-day realities of how do you implement whatever you're being recommended for your health and wellness. And it's a very confusing and complicated experience that's completely personal. Everybody's life is a little bit different. Everybody's background is a little bit different. And it comes up a lot that trying to prevent or even the idea of prevention is confusing. What do you even do? It's this sort of amorphous thing out there that you don't know if it's working until it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
That's when you learn, yeah.
That's when you learn, okay, I thought I was doing all the right things, and here I am. Something's come up. I have an illness. I had an accident. I'm having trouble recovering. I'm meeting burnout, and I have to rethink my career and my priorities. And so it's easy to just get into the muddle of what is prevention anyway. There's not a lot of reward in it, and not a lot of direct feedback because health is invisible.
Until something
happens, you don't know if it's working.
Wow.
So I like to think of prevention, and what I work with my clients on is understanding both inside of the word prevention and cure can come sort of a undertone of perfection. Prevention means nothing's ever going to happen to me. Cure means whatever's wrong with me, I'm going to fix and be well. And that alone, that sort of expectation can create more stress than resolve.
Wow.
Meeting those expectations. So I like to work with a sense of fluidity. Prevention is the foundation under which you're minimizing the risk.
Yep.
And you're optimizing your performance, your ability to show up and meet life's demands and feel good doing it. And also, if something happens, you're in a better place to be able to meet it, to meet that challenge. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So the stats say, CDC says that 6 in 10 Americans are living with a chronic illness or disease. Why do you think that is? And do you believe that having, I suppose I'm asking two questions here, but why do you believe that is, number one? And number two, do you believe that chronic illness and disease is inevitable? Or do you believe that we can minimize those statistics?
Absolutely, we can minimize. It's not a simple approach, but
Sure.
With the right understanding, absolutely, it's preventable. It's able to minimize. And I think the key word there that you were using was chronic disease.
Right.
Right. So those are those disease patterns that become expressed through long-term stress. Chronic stress is the number one cause of our underlying cause of many of those chronic illnesses. Illness can happen. There are certain things that are not preventable. Anything can happen, and including you can get into an accident, right? Sure. There are those things that just you cannot predict. Lifestyle factors, exposures, things that just happen through life. You could get exposed to an illness that is highly transmittable and highly contagious, and so there are those factors. But when you're talking about chronic disease, chronic illness, the prevention strategy is really the key. You're mitigating the impact of that. So the statistics show that even if you're living with a chronic illness, if you adopt a prevention lifestyle, you can manage the symptoms and have a better quality of life,
Wow.
less impact on your life of the disease.
So retrospectively, even if you do get that chronic disease, if you use the preventative measures, then you can somewhat
Mitigate or reverse.
mitigate or reverse.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. When we say chronic disease, what comes into your mind?
Diabetes, heart disease, those type of
Heart disease is one of the major issues that we're seeing in the society at the moment, isn't it? There's a lot of people, and isn't it sort of escalating in females as well as males, heart disease?
Well, it's a big concern across the board.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're kind of traveling into medical field. As
Sure.
a coach, I try not to talk too medical.
Sure.
I can certainly provide some statistics to the viewers after.
Sure.
But these are definitely the kind of illnesses that will manifest due to lifestyle.
Yeah, there's lifestyle. So why do you believe people don't look at prevention and actually be proactive and say, okay, I want to actually, use preventative measures while I'm well, fit and healthy? Obviously, if something happens, you certainly want to use some of those measures. But what do you believe the mindset is of people, why in general there is not an appetite to use preventative measures?
A couple of factors. I think the first one is our lifestyle rewards the lifestyle factors that are the precursors to chronic disease. We have our Western lifestyle rewards pushing through. It rewards living fast, giving up your needs to get ahead, right? To perform.
Right.
So when you're talking about adopting a preventative lifestyle, it's a little bit like swimming upstream against the norms.
Wow.
So you have an extra challenge.
So you're saying that society, actually, there are pressures, underlying pressures of living a certain lifestyle, which sometimes go against using preventative measures.
I think a lot of times it goes against preventive. We reward the people who come in earliest and stay latest and pull the extra time.
Sure.
Right. And the kind of energy that you have to generate as a person to sustain that is running on chronic stress. Our body uses the stress system to generate energy to keep pushing like that. And it doesn't reward rest. It doesn't consider rest as productive. I disagree. And I'm sure many people would disagree. But
Yeah.
it's when I work with my clients, a lot of times what I hear is, okay, how do we want to, we're hitting this roadblock. How do we want to approach it? And the obvious answer is, rest more, focus on whole foods, cooking, find time to exercise. And the number one response or reaction that I hear is, I can't afford it. I can't afford to do it. Not financially, although that's a factor. We're talking about it in terms of the demands of life.
Right. Wow. Yeah, those demands are there. So the demand to achieve, be successful, use a lot of time, work, go around the clock, these sort of pressures you're saying is then causing a knock-on effect.
Yes.
And it's so interesting because what if you get the achievements in terms of career and success, but then your health takes a turn?
I think a lot of people find themselves in that situation.
Yeah. So it's really, really interesting. I was reading a book the other day on Steve Jobs and, billionaire, hugely successful. And with all that success, Apple, his second coming there. And then, unfortunately, those health issues came in, and you sit there and think, what would one give? I'm sure all the money that you've accumulated to get your health back,
Exactly.
because I believe health is very, very important, more important than money, absolutely. So, yeah.
Yes, and I think, people, it's a mindset shift to start thinking about prevention as part of that formula for success, because we're talking about not just those check boxes. We're talking about the quality, not just the quantity, like you said.
Got it. So you want the quality of life. What age do you believe prevention should begin at? And I'm asking that because I've heard some parents say with their children that are very, very young, they're using measures as early as, 3, 4, 5 and upwards. So do you believe that's a good time to use preventative measures, or is there a particular time? Because I sometimes when we have these type of discussions, the younger audience may feel, well, this doesn't apply to me. So it's for, the older generation, as it were. What's your mindset on that?
100%. If you're in a situation where you can be that mentor and that leader to a young person, so that those habits are ingrained early, that you can prioritize as a family, those habits, that becomes the foundation. Once you have that foundation, you have a child who's grown up with that kind of structure. Even if they decide to abandon them, as they get older and more autonomous, they're more likely to return to it. And they also just have a foundation of that for health, because those are the developmental years. That's when your body is developing healthy homeostasis. That's that regulation of the way your systems work within and among one another to manage your resources, energy resources in your body. So if you've started off on that foundation, then it's easy to come back to it, even if you've come away from it. Wow. If you never got it in the first place, it's much harder to establish that later in life. I think it's a great idea to start prevention. And even, if I put myself in the position of being that leader, if I had a child that I was thinking about this, I might not even use the word prevention. Right? It's just this is
lifestyle.
This is it.
Yeah.
Right? This is the baseline. This is what, this is the norm. Because I think tied to that idea of prevention is that it's somehow almost like a punishment, I feel like people feel, right? Like, I have to eat my broccoli.
Don't eat too much salt, too much sugar, which the taste is there. And it's like, okay, let's go bland here, drink just water. Yeah, it's punishment, it feels like at times.
Yeah. Because the world is full of treats, right? We have fast food, and delicious candy and all sorts of things that the kids love, right? But then that becomes wired into their body as the treats become the reward. They become a part of the fabric. And not to say that, you can go too far the other way where you're denying, but everything in moderation. So if you're eating mostly whole healthy foods and prioritizing exercise and good sleep habits and brushing your teeth, and then you have the treat every now and again, that's balance.
Sure. Yeah. So it's about finding a healthy balance. But again, the concentration, as you earlier said, has to be there in the discipline, because there is so much marketing and there's so much pressure put on us as individuals in our society that at times it's easy to sort of slip into, eating that fast food and doing those sort of things. And particularly in a very busy pattern of life, you're just doing things as quick as you possibly can.
Yes,
which is another issue.
Yeah, it's a culture of inconvenience, right? And that changes our biochemistry. When you eat the convenience food.
Really?
Oh, there's additives, preservatives, the sugars. Our body, I use that word homeostasis. It's like, holding your, if you have a thermos at home, it's what helps keep the temperature the same throughout the house.
Right.
So if you've put the temperature at 102, which is what, when you're eating convenience foods, you're eating processed foods. Those are fast food is more than just you can get it quickly. It burns up. It's highly caloric. It's usually full of empty calories, and your body will burn that up. But it can also become dependent on that.
Wow.
And then homeostasis. I like to say homeostasis is what the body's used to. It doesn't have a sense of better or worse. So when you've created that habit, your body is in that pattern. And even when you try to go and have the broccoli, right? Even when you try to change those habits to something better that's going to give your body a different kind of fuel that it's actually better running on, there's an enormous amount of stress that gets put on your body to make that change.
Wow.
And that's why so many people have trouble implementing those lifestyle habits sustainably.
Wow.
In the long term.
So homeostasis is when your body's used to a certain diet and it becomes dependent on that diet.
I think of it as the habits.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get used to what time you go to bed and wake up, what kind of foods you're used to eating. And there are biochemical reasons for that. So when you eat food, the little microbes in your gut are helping you digest that food.
Right.
And if you're eating foods that are Big Macs, French fries, milkshakes, and I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I wasn't thinking about whether that was good for me or not.
No, I was just enjoying it.
Yeah, it was just delicious.
Nothing like
delicious.
a Big Mac.
Yeah, nothing like if mom said to me on the way home, I think we're going to stop at McDonald's, you just, so excited, right?
Yeah.
You get that treat and you get that rush, but it's changing the biochemistry of your digestive system. It's changing the microbes that are in your gut. And then now you're developing microbes that like Big Macs and French fries and milkshakes, and then they're going to ask for them.
Wow.
And when you don't give it to them, they get very upset.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so it takes a while.
So is that where the craving comes from? And
A part of it, absolutely. Yeah.
That is very interesting. So the gut is sort of demanding what it's been used to.
Yeah.
Wow. That is fascinating stuff. So sticking on to that, and as it relates to the diet, what type of things do they put in the food that makes it so addictive? Is it the additives you mentioned? And then there's preservatives as well, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I mean, highly processed foods, there's food science, which is above my pay grade. I can't talk very expertly about that stuff, but I can talk generically about it. There's food science. These people are not, the people at McDonald's aren't thinking about you getting your nutrition. They're thinking about giving you a pleasant experience that you want to buy their products and come back. And then they have a profitable, sustainable business model, right? So in the food industry and the food sciences, they're studying how to make this food irresistible to you.
Wow.
Right? I mentioned when I was a kid, I wrote that paper on MSG. That is an additive that's put in food to make you addicted to it. If you have potato chips with MSG, which a lot of potato chips have MSG, it's a flavor enhancer. It's like a salt. And that whole idea, you can't just eat one of those potato chips.
Especially those Pringles.
When they have MSG in them, they're there as a flavor enhancer, so you eat more of them, you crave them. So there's a whole science in the industry of that, and they're thinking about profits rather than, the health benefits or health outcomes. They're kind of leaving that ball in your court to have the discipline yourself.
Wow.
Right.
So you're saying that basically we're paying for it with our money and our health if done in excess.
Yes, absolutely.
And that industry doesn't mind. You mentioned something about caloric. So you said that a lot of McDonald's fast food is high on, what is that?
Calories. That's the fuel, right, that your body is taking in, and not all calories are equal.
Right.
Right. So you can have a bowl of steamed broccoli.
Yeah.
And a little container of French fries, and they might have the same calories, but there's something called empty calories, which are just calories that give no nutritional benefit. They're not actually, you'll have a short-term energy. You'll have short-term energy. Right. So if you need short-term energy, you are going to go grab something that's sugary. If you eat something sugary, that gives you instant energy. And when we live in this fast-paced lifestyle and you're low on energy, everybody gets that 3 p.m. crash.
Right.
You're familiar with that 3 p.m.
Yeah.
crash. Where does everybody go at 3 p.m.? Starbucks. They go to the coffee stand and they're they're getting the caffeine from the coffee, but also everybody's putting sugar in their coffee. So it gives you a short-term benefit. You're getting the energy short-term, but you're not getting real energy. It's sort of borrowed energy that's actually sort of slowly depleting your resources because it puts you running on the systems of the body that are associated with stress, right? This fight, flight kind of stress response.
Oh, is that what those calories do?
They can, yes. Yeah. So eating calories that have more nutritional value, then you're having sustained energy, you're running on the other systems that are more sustainable. The fight-flight system isn't something that you're meant to run on all day, every day. But when we say chronic stress, that's exactly what we're talking about. Chronic stress is when your body is running on that network all the time.
So chronic stress is when you've got these empty calories that are giving you fight or flight, and you're just going on adrenaline and energy, along with the other pressures of stress, work and paying bills and raising children or whatever it is.
Yes.
So then your body is in this constant state of stress. Is that what you're?
Yes, and I would say it's a culture of stress.
Wow.
Right? You for those of you who work in an office, just imagine you come in rested, relaxed, ready for your day, and everybody else is like wigged out, their hair is everywhere, and they're just like hating their job. I mean, they are not going to like you. You're not going to be a popular person in the office because there's sort of a culture of burnout, like pride in being exhausted and working so much. So there's a lot of cultural influence around this, and it directly ties into health. Because if the culture is reinforcing it and you have to run on it, your body is going to crave all of the things that run on that stress response. It increases inflammation, like you said, adrenaline, cortisol, all of those sort of stress hormones that run through the body that kind of give you that jolt. We're in a culture that says, yes, that's what you do.
So you're saying if you're the one eating healthy, you're not stressed out, with sort of loving Jesus and feeling good, the rest of the office is like, well, what's wrong with them?
Your enemy number one. Who do you think
Why
you
they
are?
smiling? Right.
You're not working hard enough. You're not working hard enough.
So you're not in tandem with the culture.
Yes.
So you need to almost adopt it to be accepted by everybody.
Yeah.
But it's an unhealthy overall environment, underlined.
That's right. There's deep consequences on the health from this culture of stress. Yeah. And just speaking from my experience working with clients, even the clients who are working so hard and really want to get better, that is just a big hurdle to overcome is I'm not going to fit in. People aren't, I'm not going to have anything in common to talk with people about.
Sure.
We're going to have the office party and I'm not going to be eating the cake, the extra serving of cake with everybody. And they're going to ask me why not? Do I not want to be there? Do I not, want to celebrate? So there's these psychological kind of mental aspects of this that make it hard to break that habit and bring in those healthy habits.
You've got to be so different. So when everybody goes out for a meal, you've got to be having a salad while they're having, steak and...
Yeah, or don't go, and then you miss out.
Yeah.
I was a vegan for 11, 12 years while I was working, in an office. And I missed out on all the parties. I missed out on everything. I didn't go out to eat. I had to cook at home. There was a kind of a loneliness that came with it. Even though I had friends and friend groups that were vegan also, it was very, isolating in other ways. So there are kind of a cost-benefit analysis, that one is making with these choices.
Wow. So, your vegan friends, did you ever go out together or have times where you...
Absolutely. We did. Talk about culture. I like to say we can create microcultures of support.
Sure.
right?
That's good.
You're right. And that's really important if you're trying to make healthy lifestyle changes, is find people who also are interested in
really
those
good,
healthy
actually.
lifestyle,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So if you're joining the gym, or, joining where there's group classes where you can meet other people, or if you're bringing wellness programs like into the church or community programs, then you're creating a little microculture of wellness.
Yeah, and that helps to strengthen, doesn't it? Because
Yes.
you've got other people you can sort of share experiences with.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't feel so alone. It's very hard to make these changes when you feel, if you're in a household where you're having to make the change and no one else is changing, it's really hard.
Yeah, because you've got to cook your own, and and while they're munching on KFC, you're sort of having to say no, when they go through the drive-through, and that takes sacrifice.
Absolutely. Or in the middle of the night, you get a craving. And the next thing you know, you're in the freezer and you're pulling out the pint of ice cream, right, that your husband has,
Yeah.
that you didn't want any of,
Yeah.
So
Well, you taste a little bit, and then you start thinking, and then you start going through it. Yeah. But that's good, because our Christian journey is about discipline, and how we can be disciplined. When Jesus called disciples, it was really those who could discipline. And so I believe this is a great opportunity. I could say challenge, but opportunity for us as believers to be disciplined and live the kind of lifestyle that gives us what we need in everyday life. So this is great. Listen, you're watching us, and we are so excited and enthralled here, because we're learning so much about how to live that type of lifestyle that not only gives us a long life, the Bible says long life, but a good life. That's very important. It's not just about the journey, but it's how you have that journey, which is very, very critical and important. Yeah, so this is fantastic. So give me sort of an overview of what prevention would look like. What are some of the habits that sort of spring to mind that you believe is important? We've spoken about eating.
Yes.
In fact, let me park that question for a moment. Do you believe sugar is worse than salt, or do you believe they're as bad as each other?
Well, here's where you get into the nuance and the challenge of even opening the when you really want to open that door to prevention, and you're saying, okay, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to make the change. Where do you even start?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's different. And so, yes, for years, it was said salt was the bad guy. Salt caused high blood pressure. And then, here's the challenge. Research said this. Oh, look, now new research says it's not salt, it's sugar. Mm-hmm. Sugar is really more of a contributor to chronic health problems than salt ever thought about being. So the research and the baselines are constantly changing.
Yes.
It's really hard to keep up. People are doing what they're, even if you're trying, right? You're doing what your doctor's recommending. The next time you come for your visit, they're like, oh yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Here, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Right. Very, very challenging. And not everybody is the same.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, everybody's body's different.
Everybody's body's different. Your ancestral background influences. You can have different genetic predispositions, right? So there are certain people that might be more genetically predisposed to develop diabetes, and other people might be more genetically predisposed to develop heart disease,
Sure.
so on and so forth. So then you have to kind of take that bigger view of who am I? What are the challenges in my family history, my current lifestyle patterns, and, how do I tailor this?
Sure.
Right? Start to look at it that way.
So that's sorry, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I want you to hold your thoughts. So you're saying a good way to start is to sort of analyze your genetic makeup, your family history, maybe do a health check or an MOT, and then it's this sort of the blueprint of how to then develop preventative measures. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Wow. Yes.
That's
yes.
great. I love that.
Yeah. You had asked me about my background. I gave you like a little snippet. But my background academically is I did my undergrad in psychology.
Sure.
We look at these kind of things in psychology because you genetics can play a big part in mental health issues and, psychological wellness. So I spent a lot of time there, and then onward and upward as a health coach. And, in my master's program, we look at that. And, so kind of a deep dive into the complexities of what people are facing.
So those complexities, is it something you self-study? Do you go to the doctor and say, look, I want to have an analysis? How do I come up with this mission statement?
Even
Which is great. We need to, yeah.
Yeah, and it's important to sort of open that wider lens because, I've had so many experiences of people just even just anecdotally who hit some kind of a health challenge and felt defeated because they said, I was doing everything right and I still got sick or something still happened.
Right.
And sometimes things just happen because they happen.
Sure.
Some things are not preventable. But also sometimes you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall. Have you heard that term before?
No.
It's just you throw spaghetti at the wall and you see what sticks. Right? It's like you don't really know. You're kind of shooting in the dark for it's like, oh, well, I heard this. Like you said, oh, maybe we should maybe sugar is bad. Oh, maybe salt is bad. It's kind
you're sort of guessing.
It's just guessing.
Sure.
And so one way to minimize that, because the last thing you want to do is to put all this investment into prevention and then feel like, oh, I was actually focusing on the wrong things.
That's intriguing. So you don't want to sort of over-concentrate on sugar, for example, when really you need to be looking at salt and different aspects, sleep, maybe exercise, maybe walking. So it's about getting the right method for your genetic makeup.
It's a really powerful way to target effectiveness.
Mm.
So for me, when I was studying all of genetics and epigenetics, in my program, and my psychology program, I realized, oh, my family tends to have these sorts of diseases and these sorts of illnesses. And
wow.
And they manifest through I see their dietary habits and their exercise habits. And so start this while I'm young, reducing my risk of these things by targeting lifestyle choices that are preventative to those things, right? Wow. So it's one way to start.
So one way to start, look at your family history, what sort of ailments may have developed, and what sort of lifestyle there was.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And it can seem really complicated, and it can get really complicated. But I wanted to open that window there to say it's important to look at those things if you really want to have effectiveness. And also on the other side of that is it can also be simple. So some new research has come out that says it almost doesn't matter what you choose. If you just choose one health habit, even just drinking a glass of water when you get up in the morning, or saying 10 minutes of gratitude at the end of the day, something like that. Doesn't even have to be something enormous, right? It could be eliminating pesticides from your diet. It could be cutting your sugar in half. It doesn't really matter.
Sure.
If you do that consistently, the research shows that one consistent behavior has a health impact across other dimensions, even if you're not focusing on it.
Wow.
That's new research that came out. So
one healthy habit actually has influence on the other areas.
That's right.
Wow.
And I can't remember how many people, I can't remember how many people they had in the study, and I can't remember for how long they practiced the habit.
It was an effective study, was it?
It was effective, and what was interesting was it didn't matter what the habit was, and I don't like to be a proponent to say weight equals health.
Right.
That's kind of a little bit of a
I was going to
myth.
ask you that, actually. Yeah, but we'll get to that in a minute. But so weight doesn't equal health.
Right, and I think,
because there's some slim people that have had health challenges as well, such as, and you can look at cholesterol levels, and there's slim people that still have, high cholesterol.
Absolutely.
So that goes back to the genetics, does it?
Absolutely. And you can have people who we would consider, in terms of those objective metrics of BMI, which are not really that. They're good at predicting if you're looking academically at large populations of people, on the average. But when you're looking at an individual with a high body mass index, it's really not an effective predictor.
Sure.
But doctors use it all the time. And so then that sort of propagates this myth that, if you're overweight, that somehow you have more health risk. That we're really kind of getting into mythology, and there's some oversimplification that, all issues can be resolved by losing weight. So before I tell you this stat, I had to qualify that. Because there are healthy people who have a little extra,
That's just the way they're made.
Yeah, it's just the way they're made.
God made us all differently. Yeah, wonderfully and fearfully made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can have good fat and bad fat, and we can have just different body composition. People can be very muscular, and there's all sorts of body types and shapes and sizes. But in this particular study, with this habit creation, the people who adopted that daily habit lost, I think, 6 kilograms of weight versus the people who didn't, who lost like 0.8 kilograms. I'm going to get my numbers wrong.
Sure.
But it was significant, the amount of weight that people lost just through a daily habit that probably had nothing to do with weight loss at all. Yeah. So there's something about habit creation. You use that word discipline. The body does like consistency, and there's enormous benefits with consistency that go across all the dimensions of health: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic. And so this is where I love to come in to help support people when there's that sense of overwhelm of, I don't know where to start and I don't know what to do. It's like, if you can just try to be consistent, just choose one thing and just be consistent. Like, if you had to start somewhere, start there.
Sure. So that could just be take sugar out of your coffees and don't drink. Yeah. Just reduce it. So you start small.
Just start with one thing.
Wow.
Because that changes your nervous system. The nervous system is the one that has the habits.
Sure.
I'm oversimplifying, but, for the sake of simplicity, we are creatures of habit.
And do you believe that small achievements lead you to bigger achievements?
Absolutely.
So when you see the results, it's sort of a push start to an even bigger result.
Yes. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up is it's trying to do everything all at once.
Got it.
It's too much, too fast. Either it doesn't work, or you have a boomerang effect. You kind of slip back into your old habits and maybe even worse.
Sure.
Or sometimes too much change too fast can contribute to adverse health.
Yeah, it's not good for the body, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it gives the body a shock.
Yes.
Yeah. Even God said to Israel, take the land little by little. He said, don't try and take it all at once because it will overwhelm you, but just do it in steps. And that's what you're saying.
That is exactly right. And it's just the same as it's easy to ignore prevention because it's invisible if it's working. You don't know if it's working or not.
Sure.
Those small steps also can feel like that. It can feel like I'm not doing anything. But when you understand that the consistency of that action is more important than the action, you're acclimating your body to be able to adapt to change.
Got it. So the consistency is more powerful than the actual action itself.
Yes. And I think, if there was one thing that I could just impart on anybody who's thinking about, taking that leap, is it can be that easy.
Got it.
Right? It really can. Because I introduced all this complexity with genetics and, stress and all of these things, and it can feel overwhelming. And sometimes that overwhelming.
So we can sometimes psychologically defeat ourselves with the mass. We believe we have to do so much.
Yes. And there's a feeling maybe it's never enough. It's not enough.
That's excellent. So going back to this roadmap, you look at your family genetics. Do you believe it's a good idea to go to your doctor and sort of have a general look at your health just to see where you are? And then that makes up a part of your plan in terms of, tackling the specifics.
Absolutely. Yeah. Going and getting a baseline panel. When you go to a doctor, you can just ask for a baseline panel, which is just going to look there. They're going to do blood work, and they're just going to take a look at your numbers across the different organ systems. And those are just scanning for red flags.
Sure.
Right? Just making sure everything's on that basic functional level working really well. And without that, you can still be effective, but it gives you that baseline. So I'll give an example. a personal example.
Yes.
A few years ago, I just wasn't feeling like myself. I mean, I hadn't really changed anything in my habits or whatever. But I noticed that I took a trip. I flew to a different time zone. I took like a red-eye flight to a different time zone. And when I arrived there, I just felt swollen, like and jet lagged, and that's normal. But then it stayed that way the whole trip. And then I flew back and couldn't sleep for a couple weeks. And I just knew this is where prevention helps, because I kind of knew my body.
So you knew something had changed.
Yes. I had a baseline for what's me and what's not me. And I said, this is not normal for me. I have my laundry list of challenges, and this has not ever been one of them. And so I went to the doctor and I got some blood work. And in the panel, it showed that my kidney function had significantly decreased.
Wow.
And the doctor said, this is not a problem. But to me, I knew these numbers weren't normal because I had a baseline.
It's interesting. He says it's okay, but if something's not functioning like it used to, then how is it okay?
They're looking for the disease.
Wow. But if you start with the function,
yes,
you can prevent the disease.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it stood out to me because I have a history of kidney disease in my family.
Wow.
So if I didn't have that history, would that have stood out to me? Probably not. But I knew that this is something that runs in my family. This is not normal. And my doctor's saying it's not clinically significant, meaning, from a medical point of view, they're like, until you have kidney disease, we really don't have a conversation. And I'm like, well, these numbers are really close to kidney disease. Wow. And so I did some research, and what I learned was when it comes to kidney disease, they really don't have, in the medical field, they don't have a lot of prevention. They basically are like, we're just, hopefully your kidneys hang on. And
right.
if not, we'll do dialysis. Like we have treatment for the disease, but not prevention. So I was kind of stunned to hear that. But I also, didn't believe it. I believed in prevention. I said, what can I do? And so I started looking into, some of my other factors. I have some digestive issues and different things like that. And I said, I think I did some research on my own and found a link between digestive health and kidney function decreasing. And so I said, what if I just focus on my digestive health? Maybe I just focus on that. So I did 6 months of focusing on my digestive health. And when I went back, my numbers were normal.
Oh, that's amazing.
So this is the edge, and we can.
What did you do to get your digestive health better? Fiber? Did you start eating more fiber?
So I focused on actually exercise can be really good for your digestion.
Okay. So
I just made sure that I was doing at least a half an hour of exercise every day.
Okay. Exercise or gym?
What I committed to myself was a half an hour every day. So if I could get to the gym, great. If I couldn't, I would work at home. There's the consistency.
So the 30 minutes was more powerful than the where.
That's right.
Awesome.
And I made a commitment to that. So maybe my template was to do it first thing in the morning at the gym, but maybe the day didn't allow for me to do that. I would make sure that I did it sometime during the day. And if I couldn't get to the gym, I would do it at home.
Sure.
Right. So I just wanted to make sure that I was consistent with that.
That's amazing.
And that's a really nice way to take the pressure off of it. Because a lot of people will say, oh, I missed the gym this morning. The day's a wash.
Yeah.
No,
true.
You have the whole day to find.
It's raining and I can't be bothered to go to the gym. Yeah.
And say, oh, well, look, I have 15 minutes here and 15 minutes there. 2 different 15-minute workouts, maybe one at home and then do 15 minutes at the gym. Some people might think 15 minutes in the gym is worthless. Why would I bother? No, not at all. If you do 15 minutes a day at the gym consistently, you will see benefits over a period of 2 to 3 months. Absolutely. Wow. So the consistency was more important. So I get motivated by those kind of things. It gives me a container.
Sure.
And we talk about prevention versus cure, and prevention can be, not rewarding.
Yeah.
And so people will ignore it. And then, it takes a health scare to make it important to reassess. Sometimes that can be a beneficial thing for someone who's struggling to implement the changes, right? It can be a wake-up call. So I like to take it that way. Okay, this was a wake-up call. Maybe I'm focusing on my digestion, but not enough.
So you did exercise and fibers, and that was
I did exercise. I increased my fiber. I cut out sugar.
wow.
And to the people that I know who are doctors, when I tell them that, they go, why not sugar? Why not salt? But because we were looking at digestive health and sugar is inflammatory,
You knew that sugar.
I said, if I cut out my sugar, I'm reducing a lot of
you
inflammation in
just
my
had
body.
natural sugar.
No sugar at all.
Oh, wow. Not even in fruits.
Well, yeah, but you even when you're thinking about cutting out sugar, you have to consider that there is a lot of sugar in fruits. It's
sure.
it's
So you
not
just
as
limited fruit.
limited.
I get it.
Limited your sugar. I mean, that's not as inflammatory as like pure white sugar that you might
Sure.
put in your coffee or whatever, or in your desserts. But it's still
You've got to monitor it.
yeah.
Listen, this has been enlightening. We're speaking about health and wellness this month, and we've just had a wonderful discussion, and I'm just so excited. Join us for the next episode where we're going to dive even deeper into some things, and I know you'll be blessed and your life will certainly improve. And really, I want you to stay connected. Again, I'm inviting you to our Sunday service, 10:30 a.m. every week, and continue being a blessing. It has been so good to come into your home just to share these angles that can help you move to the next level. And we'll see you next week. Stay blessed and stay favored of God. Bless you.